It's a massive problem. And I think that the solution that we're building has the power to change the culture and the fabric of our society.
Hello and welcome to the Leave Your Legacy podcast. I'm your host, Kenyon Murray, and today we have a really special update and some really special guests. I think this might be the third time that Jeff's been on the show, and obviously what we're going to be talking about is Brightn, and we've got some amazing new updates. We got Carson on for the first time, Carson Goodale, and I think he's going to give all of you a really good insight into what Brightn is and actually some of the new technology that's making it. I mean, literally there's no apps that do what Brightn does. So we're really excited to talk about that. So I just want to say welcome to the show, fellas.
Yeah, thanks
for having us.
We're super excited to be here. So
absolutely. So let's jump into it. So, we've been building this up and there's been a lot of blood, sweat, and tears going into the development of Brightn, but we're live now. So, I mean, tell our audience just the excitement of bringing this app, which is, like I said, it's been a ton of work. What was the feeling like when that thing went live for people to get, sign up for subscriptions and things like that?
Well, it's funny you say that because when you say go live, you think you hit a button, all of a sudden all this stuff starts pouring in. It's like, no, it's a snail's pace. It's slow. It's a process. There's no destination where we're going to wake up one day and say, oh, Brightn did it. It's like, it's constant growth and evolution. And, I think what we're finding, and Carson can talk about this a little bit more in detail, but we had this big idea that there's this generation out there, Gen Z that they call it. I don't like that term personally, but young adults, 15 to 26, that they're lost, they're isolated, they're angry, they're upset. COVID, social media have really caused a lot of these issues, but they're not the only issues.
Yeah.
So there's no question there's a problem. There's a demand out there. So we talked and so what's the solution? What is it? And I'm a believer that you go meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
So in the substance abuse world, it's called harm reduction. You basically literally go with those people struggling and help them. Well, where are kids at?
Yeah.
It's like they're on their phones.
They're on the phone. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, big problem. I'm not a tech guy. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? There's a demand. I know we have to do something on the phones, but that's not me. And then Carson shows up just like the universe does for me a lot, provides for me. And I've known Carson a long time, coached him in basketball. He happened to be Seth's best friend. And just kind of showed up and he was looking to help out. He's got some great experience in the startup world and apps and stuff. And so he built it. And so I'm out selling it.
Yeah.
And he built it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's the thing. This is a passion project for you too, right? Obviously. And I think, like you said, things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. So what has it been like for you? I mean, basically taking this thing from infancy to now, you're sharing it with the masses.
It's been a privilege and grateful to be part of the journey. When I joined, Jeff's background is in financial planning.
Yeah.
Whether you're a Gen Z, young adult, an adult, everyone benefits, right? You go to a financial planner to help you develop a healthy relationship with money.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you go exercise, you have a fitness plan, right? That you follow. Today's back day, tomorrow's my chest day. We have shoulder day. You have a plan that you follow.
Yep.
Just backgrounds in planning. And what I love when I joined is he did a really good job of identifying the problem, the epidemic that we have in the United States, this mental health problem that 1 in 4 people that are at some point are currently depressed, anxious, stressed, overprescription of drugs in this country. Mm-hmm. And there's no plan. Right. We talk about plans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why isn't there a plan around mental health? Enter Brightn. This is the concept that he came up with. It's live now. And we're leveraging some of the cool new AI technologies to create really personalized plans for people to help them improve their mental health, develop better resilience, improve their confidence, and reduce some of that stress and anxiety. And I think you said it right out the beginning, like this is an evolution and we're constantly learning and adapting to that feedback. But it's been a really humbling experience the past, 90 days of going live.
Yeah.
And I would say, just to piggyback on that, an important part here is that in where this idea really came from was with our son, Seth. And for the people that aren't familiar, our son passed away from a fentanyl poisoning overdose, whatever you want to call it, at 23. And it was the end of a 7-8 year, just, nightmarish experience that started with a visit to the doctor's office when he was 15, because teachers told us at school that he wasn't paying attention. He was not focusing. He was disruptive. I'm like, well, that sounds like every 15-year-old male, every 15-year-old male in the United States, in the world probably.
Yeah, no doubt.
But the doctor said he's got this thing called attention deficit disorder. Here's a bottle of Adderall. So I walked in, very naive, walked out with a bottle of Adderall, and then 7 years later. So where I'm going with this is the Western mindset is very episodic. You wait for a kid to have a problem. You come rushing in and you save them. And a lot of times saving him is an antidote or a pill. And we thought that's a broken system. There's too many kids like Seth that just get lost in that hamster wheel of prescriptions. And it's not that we're against that. We're just against it as the first option. And again, I'm culpable. I didn't know any better. I was coaching and running an investment company.
And your dad's a doctor.
Yeah. Thank you. My dad's a doctor. It's like, if anyone should know, be me. But no, I didn't. I trusted the system that they would take care of my son. Now, I'm not blaming the system. There's plenty of blame to go around, Seth included. It was his choice to do what he did. So there's got to be new things. There's got to be something, another option out there. And that's where the Brightn thing just started coming back to us. It's like, okay, well, let's just give families and parents and kids another way to bridge that gap, to fill that void of loneliness or whatever, without having to go to the doctor and get a pill, at least to start. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it. Well, here's the thing. I think, AI is everywhere. I personally always flash back to the Terminator movies. Think about AI and everything that's doing. But AI has been so monumental in the development of the app. And even what you showed me like 2 months ago is different now. So what's been the impact of integrating AI, and where do you see it going from here?
I wanted a really good use case that we could integrate AI to start that I felt was going to deliver not only value for everybody that uses it, but also ensures that it's leading to positive and good outcomes. And one of what kind of kickstarted that journey was actually because of Keegan. We were here, we were talking, he was talking about his experience where he was seeing a therapist. And I think, first of all, starting those conversations and being open and talking about mental health is a step in the right direction, right? And I think that's a big piece.
And therapist gets thrown around because it could be a mental health coach. I mean, there's lots of names for a therapist. I think therapist itself has a stigma with it. And when Keegan talked about it, I'm like, well, that's cool, because a lot of kids are going to understand now it's okay if you're seeing somebody.
Well, that's
it's
the thing. Like I think in our family, we'll get back, but in our family, we've made talking about those things natural, right? Because Michelle and I were going through our thing when it comes to our marriage, but we're very open. And I think, for him to take that stance, I mean, one,
it's huge.
As a parent, I'm like, yes.
Yeah, proud of him.
But then that's a huge step for him. And I think you've seen, and we won't get into it, but you've seen his growth in this last off season,
unbelievable,
those kind of things. So
you're right.
Not to interrupt, but you're
right. You're right. So there was like a aha moment when he was telling me his story. And it was when the therapist recommended to Keegan to start to use journaling as a benefit to his mental health. Like if you have a lot of these emotions bottled up. I served over 10 years in the military. I'm a kind of guy that doesn't like to talk about my emotions. And he was like, dude, you got to get your emotions on a journal. You just start doing it. And that's when I kind of realized, like, Brightn as a technology is there to supplement, not replace a therapist.
Right. No.
But it is and this is where AI and the idea of how we can create this awesome use case can help you journal better and go deeper with those emotions. So what the AI in Brightn does, it leverages empathetic listening and reasoning to help you better understand those emotions. So it's not like, oh, why do you feel that kind? It's like we don't ask why questions. We ask, what about that moment made you feel that type of way? And it intentionally extracts that information to help you better understand your core values and your core beliefs. And then what it kind of does as a next step, what AI will start to do, we gave it memory.
Yeah.
So that your journals.
Okay, Terminator.
Okay. But no, check it though.
Carson's creating
your
this
past your past journals will now inform your future ones.
amazing.
Okay, hey,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
past event made you feel this type of way. Do you
Yeah.
think that's contributing to why you're feeling this type
That's so
of way
cool.
today?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not
And
just kids.
That's
in
so
the
cool.
I journal every day.
context,
Yeah.
in the context of wellness planning, we go back to plans, right?
Yeah.
Now, what the AI will be able to do is if you want suggestions for your weekly plan, all you have to do is click a button. It's personalized. It knows you. So the
Yeah.
more information you get, the better, the more personalized experience you'll be. So you say, hey, suggest me some ideas for my weekly plan that will help me improve my mental health
Yeah.
and develop more resilience.
Yeah.
So that's what we've created today as a sort of the core technology. And, shout out to Keegan for helping influence what some of those core priorities could be, because I had never really considered a wellness journal to be core to mental health planning. But indeed,
Yeah.
since we've rolled it out,
Yeah.
we've had 5 times the interaction of an app. Like we
Yeah.
were talking,
Jeez.
it was
jaw-dropping.
common to see like,
Yeah.
in the app, and this is our data. I look at data. I'm a data guy. It was common to see the about one session every other week was for the average person that had that. Now we're seeing on average 2 or more sessions per week,
Wow.
just by introducing wellness journaling and the powers of AI. So we've seen the engagement triple, quadruple in a very short amount of time. Just by leaning into that feature functionality, which I think is really, really cool, really special.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna go back to what you said, as far as filling gap, because I kind of get that as a life coach too.
Yeah.
Like I'm not a counselor. I'm here to give you tools in order to work through different
Right.
things. But going back to what you said earlier about where kids, they're in their phone, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel, and I know the answer to this though,
Mhm.
now with the AI integration and being able to take it deeper, it's almost easier for people to interact with AI
Yeah.
than it is with other people, because in that sense, you said empathy. A lot of times people that are in these situations that feel that they're in trouble or stressed,
Mm-hmm.
they don't know who to go to that's going to be empathetic to who they are.
Because it could be judgmental.
Yeah. So, do you feel like, that's just something I'm throwing out there,
Yeah.
but do you see like maybe that's a good correlation as to why you've seen the uptick in just people
Engagement,
interacting with the app?
I think it is. And, like Carson alluded to, we're not replacing the therapist.
Right.
We're providing that bridge between in session, between your sessions or the timing of the day. May not, mental health just doesn't show up at noon when you're in your therapist office.
Right.
Sometimes it's 3 a.m. on a Tuesday,
Yeah.
And so we want to give another arrow in the quiver to these young adults and the parents, because if you think of one child in a family, let's say you have 3 kids, and one's really struggling, it can literally bring down the whole family. And it in our case,
I was gonna say,
it cost us, half my family,
Yeah.
almost me. And that's just one family in one town, in one state, and you replicate that throughout the world. And if you can get that one kid to just see things differently, to have a little bit more inspiration, to a little more pep in their step and a little bit more positive attitude, that can change the whole dynamic of a family. And then if that family improves, the neighborhood improves, the schools improve, the employers, it's just like there is no downside. There's no negative impact of using something like Brightn. And again, we're not coming to market to like be a disruptor necessarily, although I think our idea of the health, wealth, and purpose is pretty disruptive. But it's a fresh new approach. It's like, it's not episodic. You don't have to wait for your kids to have a problem to go hand them the Brightn app. If anything, we're upstream. We're prevention in a way, but more empowerment.
Yeah.
I think what's really, and sorry not to like interject, but the idea of prevention and the power of AI, if you really think about that for a second. So how do you know if someone is starting to go down the path where they could become a substance abuse candidate?
Right.
Like the current way?
Yes.
Well, I lived it.
I know you lived it, but I'm saying
something had to happen, and then I came in to help.
Yes.
So everything was episodic. Everything was treatment.
Reactive.
Yeah,
it was reactive,
defensive.
Yeah,
I used to say
it wasn't until the moment where, oh crap, they're already addicted to
it's
something.
Too late then.
And it's too late.
Then you literally are putting out fires the rest of your life.
So by us integrating AI early and you using this type of stuff early, we'll be able to identify, hey, you're starting to go down this path.
Here's how we can help.
Start to navigate it to a more productive output? And I think that's something that can be that could be really disruptive. I know you don't like to use the word disruptive, but I really do think it is disruptive because I think that there is this this proliferation of overprescription drugs in the country, and I think that there is a problem.
It's a massive
at a macro level. It's a massive problem, and I think that the solution that we're building has the power to change the culture and the fabric of our society.
The United States leads the world in teen, youth, and antidepressants, and it's just not even close. And even I think in my book, I can't quote these statistics now, but I talked about like in 1990, how much prescription stimulants, like, Ritalin, things like that. And then versus today. And it was like, if I remember right, it was like 600,000. And then like 11 years later, it was like 3.5 million. So is there just more kids that are messed up, or is there just more diagnosis, more label, and more solutions that end up being pills almost every time? So it's like, I'm like that guy that wants to draw a line in the sand. And that's what the Brightn initiative's about, bringing these kids together. And it's like being less like we feel an obligation to always have to come in and fix kids. Adults just feel that way. Because we imagine what we were like and we needed fixing. I know I did. But the reality is these kids
differently back then.
We won't talk about that. But the reality is, Kenyon, is like these kids don't need fixing. They
Anxiety,
need love. They need loved and supported and invested in and believed in, and less like, oh, here's a visit, here's your label, and here's a pill to take. It's like I just
depression, anxiety, stress, those are all common emotions that
all of us have them.
It's part of the human experience, and what we want to lean into that. Actually, we want to embrace that.
The Leave Your Legacy podcast is brought to you by Covenant Workplace Solutions. Covenant is a full-service workplace mental health and wellness partner, helping organizations across the country strengthen the lives of their employees and the families they go home to every day. Your employee assistance program should raise the bar, not simply check the box. And Storyline Multimedia. Storyline is an Iowa City-based media company that creates high-quality video, photo, and audio for local businesses. They produce a number of great podcasts, including this one. If you're interested in sharing your story, please contact them at storylinemultimedia.com. And remember, your story matters. Well, staying with the kids, I mean, obviously, Gen Z, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's the largest generation in human history. It's a third of the world right now. And so there's a lot of kids. But one thing about Gen Z, and you've seen it and we've talked about it, is just one, how in touch they are with their surroundings.
Totally.
Now, they may be a generation that needs a little bit more leadership or people that help them focus in certain areas. But the one thing that I love about what you guys are doing, it's one thing to have a great app that has this great AI, and then there's a video that pops up and it's me or you talking, right? You guys have taken, you've taken it to a level where you now have thrivers. We don't call people users or anything like that. We call them thrivers.
Right.
So how do you see that your Thriver network being a benefit to the Brightn app as you guys are rolling it out?
I'll take that, and then I know you want to talk about that too. But so when we were doing this, you're exactly right. I'm on some of the videos, that we came down here and did the recordings, which was great to kind of get us started. But I started looking at organizations like Alcoholics Anonymous. What makes AA successful? Well, you're in a church basement with 20 people that what? The drink. And you can relate to them. No one's judging you. You actually sit up and say, hey, I'm Jeff, I'm an alcoholic. It's like, there's that real sense of love and support. And it's like, I wanted to kind of build something like that. That was kind of what our thought was. So it's like, are kids more likely to listen and change behavior seeing me? I don't think so. I joke with my kids. It's like, should I be on TikTok juggling cats? It's like, no, that's not going to change behavior. No, it won't. Nah. But if one of their peers was talking to him, Keegan Murray, Chris Murray, sitting down saying, hey, you know, I know what you're going through. I really do. You know, I'm excelling in one area, but other than that, I'm human, just like everybody else. It's like, so it's called peer-to-peer, and social proof is another term. Plenty of evidence and studies out there that show that it's very effective and it works in changing behavior. So we wanted to really implement that peer-to-peer. So yeah, we started the Brightn Thriver Council. We actually have talks with 2 colleges to have Brightn chapters starting. We're a small team. We're only 3 of us. So we're a little terrified of how fast this is growing. But with our Thriver Council, it's been great to just sit back and we'll have meetings, Emily and Carson and I, and we'll like, well, maybe we should ask our council. So we'll present the same questions, and surprisingly, we get different answers. You know, I'm 58, so my lens is different. And so I think as a founder and a CEO, I have to be willing to be flexible, take my ego out of play, and listen to these kids. They'll tell us how to build this thing, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. You want to add anything?
I think you did a really good job leaning into your ideal audience for feedback. I think is it's a recipe for success. I mean, the Keegan Murray, the Keegan example of how he uses journaling and using that as a source of inspiration for developing wellness journaling into Brightn, that's exactly an example of leveraging a Thriver to influence the output of an app to make sure it creates as much utility and value for everybody that's using it. And now, like today, I'm not a Gen Z, I'm a millennial, but I have adults now who are reaching out to me and seeing value and benefit from wellness planning because their generation, your guys' generation, probably didn't talk about mental health and being depressed and it's okay to not be okay kind of stuff. And so now I'm having, I was just networking with this lady who's going through a pretty tough divorce and she's feeling the need to like get all of this stuff out and just I could just feel through the Zoom that she was just overwhelmed. I'm like, you should try out some of the AI journaling and some of the self-guided stuff, go deeper with it and lean into it. Let me know what your thoughts are. And she texted me right after and she was like, oh my God, this is awesome. I really feel like I got some stuff off my chest. I'm like, that's the idea.
And unburdening.
Unburdening.
Exactly.
Right. That's perfect.
Well, and the thing is too, is the time now to be able to get into a mental health professional is there's not enough to go around. And then you might, depending on what your insurance covers, you might not get, might not get a very good one.
Right.
And you might get somebody that's just wanting to check the boxes. So you were saying, giving someone that can fill that gap it's huge for not only, the Gen Zers that we're helping, but for anybody. I mean, for me, it's, my journaling came out in a different way with different people, but it's so important to kind of get that off your chest so you can be free, because I think the way our world works, we're always jumping from one thing to the next. If you look at your schedule, it's one, we're always in a rush and we never slow down. So I think sometimes that's all we need is just that moment to unburden. And sometimes it's not with someone that is flesh and bone. It's with AI on the app. And that's pretty cool that you guys have done that. So, well, I want to stay here because you talked about Keegan a lot, but we as a family have become ambassadors and obviously there's different ways that we help, but how do you see, I know you guys have kind of a Keegan and Chris kind of challenge. Have you guys released that? When is it coming out? I guess I should know, but I'm just asking right now, like, what's kind of going to be the next rollout when it comes to their involvement?
Well, we had the Chris and Keegan Murray Challenge built a little while ago. Emily did a good job, but we didn't do any announcing because we hadn't announced a partnership with you guys yet. So that came out on World Mental Health Day, which was coincidental to our dinner. So that was great to announce that. But yeah, the challenge idea really was, Carson and Emily's thinking of how we could take these individual opportunities, package them, because we have the 3 tenets: health, wealth, and purpose. So if we had a certain number of routines and habits and stuff on each one of those, could we put that together as a challenge and throw it out there as a 30-day or 40, and then name it the Chris and Keegan Murray Challenge, because they really were involved in, you remember sitting down here 2 years ago with both of them, did a lot of videos for us and stuff that we still have that content for that we're trying to get on the app. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, it's not live yet, but now that we announced that, we start making it live and then just refine it from there, make it better and better. But I'm thinking to myself, man, wouldn't that be cool to have a kid who's like, 15 or 16 or 17 or 18, whatever.
Yeah.
Really looks up to Chris and Keegan on just more than their basketball skills, but just good humans. Wow, cool to have a challenge named after them, and then they can go in there and work on it, and then they can get done and share it with their friends. And it just, I keep going back. There's just no downside.
Yeah.
There's no risk in something like that. It's all upside.
Yeah, absolutely.
My response is a little bit more technical. So we ran into the thing with the current app, right? Is it was built to be like a weekly planning app. So you do things, you build habits, you build on a week-to-week basis, and thinking like a fitness app. When you are, it's the start of a new year. My goal is to lose, I want to lose 20 pounds. You're not going to do that in a week.
Right.
It's going to take you 30. It's going to take you 60 days. And so when we were collaborating with Chris and Keegan on what their unique challenge was, in my mind, I was like, okay, it's going to be predominantly like health. They're getting some of the world's best, physical exercise to stay in top shape. So I was assuming that was going to be health. But they were like, okay, it's more than just health.
Yeah.
And what I found surprising was the integration of the purpose aspects of it and their faith and incorporating that. And when we started collaborating, okay, this is going to be more than a 7-day thing. This is going to be akin to like starting a workout challenge. This is going to be the Chris and Keegan Murray challenge. And so from a technical lens, we want to be able to support that after just a week. So I want it to live in their, in the Thrivers plans for an extended period of time.
Gotcha.
And when they complete those tasks, they'll complete them. And then, it'll be done before the year's over, for sure.
No, sounds good. I mean, that rolls right into kind of the next things. Like, so, 2024 is, it's wrapping up fast. We're in November. So what are some of the goals for you guys? What have you set for yourself in 2025 when it comes to the app and where you guys want to take it?
Well, I love that you said goals, because I think that's one of the big pieces missing in the context of a planning app, right? If you have a financial planner, you have a deposit goal or contribution goal that you want to set every year, and you want to achieve that goal and look at it. And we have the concepts of health, wealth, and purpose, and we tell people the tasks. And now with AI, they're highly relevant and personalized tasks that you can do each week to help you accomplish. What are those goals, though? So if we, one of the things that I would like to accomplish from a technical perspective is adding the ability to support Thrivers' goals, and then the app helps them with tasks to achieve those goals in the app. That's one thing I would like to achieve.
Gotcha.
Well, I think, a non-technical would be more on the marketing, more on the promotion side, and that would be finding key allies and partners. So we have been in talks with like Junior Achievement, JA, which you introduced us to, and we're grateful for that. But that's one organization of many that I think Brightn runs parallel with, or our goals align well with, helping human flourishing, but more specifically young adult flourishing. And so we're aligned. It's just trying to find a way that we can support each other that works. And so that's one of the goals, JA specifically, but there's a number of other organizations that have approached us. Yeah, we've had a couple employers reach out because the EAP space is really big right now.
Yeah.
We were talking before the cameras rolled that 77% of Gen Zers will leave an employer if the employer doesn't support mental wellness. So what does support mental wellness mean, right? A meditation room, a track where you can exercise, we don't know, but I do know that something like Brightn certainly fits a mental wellness, curriculum program at a school, or at a work. But the thing that probably is philosophically the biggest challenge is that we come to talk to an employer and we present like mental wellness as an optional feature. It should just be the culture of your work.
Right.
It shouldn't be an added benefit. And I think that's a philosophy that I'm going to really work hard on this next year, is talking to employers about mental wellness shouldn't be an employee added benefit.
Right.
It should be the framework of your DNA of your company.
Right.
If you get that down, you will attract people You just will, because most successful companies are what? They have a great culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
By far. And that's mental health based.
Yeah. And I mean, that's something that I'm seeing too more in the life coaching space too, is where, working with CEOs, they're trying to figure out, how do I merge these different populations? I've got, like I said, the one employer was like, I have people that have been with this company for almost 40 years, but I also have these young up and comers that are 18, 19, 20 years old. And how do we merge those together? But like you said, it starts with a culture of inclusivity, but also a culture of supporting the people that may find it hard to like integrate. So how do we take care of everyone and just create an environment where we can all see a benefit, we can all thrive?
I think a lot of times it starts at the top.
Yeah.
These CEOs, these presidents, the managers at these organizations, if they're willing to have the share their vulnerability, show that you can be a CEO and have challenges with mental health. I mean, that's perfectly, and then you normalize this, and that's the key. And I think that makes all the employees feel like it's a safe space. I can go talk to my boss and tell him about thoughts of suicide without getting fired.
Yeah.
Without having it show up on some report that now I can't get a job.
Yeah.
And that's what holds a lot of people back, is the inability to be vulnerable and share their problems. And
a stigma.
I think if we can just, again, Brightn will do our small contribution, but if everybody out there can do their role, then going to work will be a family thing. It doesn't have to be something you can disconnect from. Although maybe sometimes that's a good thing, but we're just trying to create a new narrative.
Yeah.
One that isn't the victim mindset that we have so prevalent today, especially with Gen Z. They're blaming we do it too, adults do.
Yeah.
And now look at things as more opportunistic, that there are resources like Brightn that can enhance your mental wellness. And this is how it's done. And this is the why behind it. And then just kind of let them figure it out on their own. And they'll tell us, and I say they as our thrivers, they will tell Carson and I and Emily what Brightn needs to look like in 2 years.
Yeah.
They already are. And then our job is to make sure that we build it.
Yeah. No, I love it. Obviously, with Murray League basketball, like, it's going to be a part of our program when it comes to the kids and the families that we're involved with. So I'm looking forward to that. But we talked about like goals, and I know recently too, you had an investor dinner. So I was going to ask you too. What are some of the challenges or some of the things that you're working on in order to ensure that you continue to move forward with Brightn the way you guys have in the last year?
I'll take the dinner one first and pass it to you, but I'll take the easy one. So we are a for-profit. Brightn is a startup company. We're pre-seed, which just means we haven't completed our raise for our first round, and we were pre-revenue, but now we are the ability to have some revenue, which is great for a business.
Yeah.
So that's great. We're always looking for additional investors until we close that round. And then if we can make Brightn to be revenue positive at a certain point in time, then we don't have to, be taking as much investment dollars. So it's all there's kind of a play here.
Yeah.
But that's behind the scenes stuff. That keeps us paying our bills, keeps the lights on, keeps us innovating.
Yeah.
There is, even nonprofits have to have money. I mean, it just makes,
you're
in plenty of, I know you are plenty of business deals right now. It's always money. It's like a necessary evil, but fortunately for us, we've got a great local community. I pinch myself how many people have helped us out that I haven't had to go out there yet and entertain, giving away chunks of the company for VC money.
Yeah.
Something Carson and I were really hesitant. We'll do it if we have to, but man, if we can get the average business person in town here wants to invest 10,000 or 5,000 or 20 or 50 or 100, I'll take those all day rather than one big check from somebody that I have to give up a big chunk of the company, which we give up a lot of our freedoms with that as well. So that's my little bit on our raise. So
yeah, I mean, we did a local investor dinner. I would say we got to about a 50% of our goal was. I think that we've been building this pretty smart. This isn't my first technology business app, and I think I'm applying a lot of the hard lessons learned from the first one to this one. I think we're being pretty prudent with our financial spending, trying to keep the team as lean as possible, trying to lean into some of these employer EAP pilots and school organizations that are interested in getting free access or premium access to their communities. So their employees and their students, we're a handful of those that could convert into licensing deals for the business that could be really, really, really impactful.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about 2025, and hopefully some of those can help bridge our funding gap.
Yeah. And we have a free trial on the app. So if people want to just try it and check out the features and the premium features, the things that, probably your best bang for the buck are within our subscription, our memberships, we call them. And, just to summarize, it's about 20 cents a day. I mean, really, if you think about it, that's not that bad, considering where people spend their money. I mean, to something that to me is an investment.
Yeah.
It's not an expense. Yeah. You're not spending money on your mental health and you create it as an expense. It's an investment. You don't go to the gym and think that's an expense, right? It's an investment in your health.
Yeah.
And so why would you treat mental wellness app any differently? Why would you think it is an expense? So to me, it's just getting the public to reframe it, to think of this differently, that your mental health is an investment. And tell me what better asset you can invest in than yourself.
I don't know.
You can have crypto and all that stuff, but what good is it if you're a wreck?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Got all this money and can't enjoy it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So again, 20 cents a day sounds very, simple, but that's what this is. This is not, we want to make this harder than we have to, and it's not. Yeah. And Brightn isn't like the end all be all, but it is a very good alternative to what's already out there.
Yeah. So if someone wants to get a hold of you as far as investing or whatever like that, so where can they contact you, Carson?
You can email me directly at Carson@Brightn.
Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff at Brightn. And again, Brightn's BRIGHTN.
Okay.
APP. Jeff at Brightn. Yeah.
Gotcha. So you hear that. All right. So if you're interested in investing, we're still looking that way. Yep. But we encourage everybody to even go out and try the app. Like you said, like
feedback. Just even downloading it, like really using it, do 3 or 4 or 5 sessions. What do you like? What do you hate about it?
Yeah.
Let me know.
Well, with the holidays coming up too. I mean, we have a family plan where you can get up to 6 accounts on one account, very low cost. We have a lifetime plan. We have the monthly.
I got the lifetime.
Yeah, nice. I did too. But I bought a full membership, by the way. But it's like, we want to make this very price affordable, but we also want to let people know that this is an investment, though. This is really should be part of your investment portfolio, your mindset. But yeah, Carson's right. The more people we have download the app, obviously the memberships help us pay our bills, but we can get more information. We can get more data. We're having some great conversations with some third-party companies that we can bring them on the app to mine more data, because the more we get, the better we can make the experience. And the better we make the experience, the longer young adults are on the app, the longer they're on the app, their mental health gets better. So it's like, again, there's no downside.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you hear that, people. Like this is something that obviously the passion that comes out of you two is there. But for us too, like we've seen the benefits of it, and we wouldn't be behind it if we didn't think that it was something that would benefit not only the user, but our community. I mean, you're talking about being able to change the mentality of the people that are utilizing the application, or even people that are in the counseling or therapy space too. It's just something else that can help them. So I'm telling you, go to the App Store,
check it out.
Email these two if you're interested in investing. Okay, you got a question. Go ahead. What's up?
Okay, I have my last question is this. At our investor dinner, we had this amazing woman that donated money to our nonprofit. And I just want to throw that out there, that it's a cool feature that I have a nonprofit called Living Undeterred Project, which is kind of a sister company now, or will be to the Brightn app, in that the money's used for scholarships. So kids in areas of the country that they can't afford it, or they're from families that can't afford it, or schools that can't afford it, we're hoping to get contributions on the nonprofit side too, so we can build this scholarship program. So any kid can be using the app. Any family that wants to use the app, money shouldn't be the reason why they don't, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so again, that's just a great idea that came up at the dinner. Very grateful for Kelly for doing that. And that's something too. This is the time of year where people are making charitable donations. I know you have a nonprofit as well.
Absolutely.
So, we're all trying to get some last, minute donations. But that's the beauty of the community here, is it not just the community of thrivers on the app, but outside of the app, the parents and the people like you, Kenyon, that have been from day one. You know, you have a little bit of a vested interest because you knew my wife and knew my son. But what you guys are doing with the Murray Family Foundation is just amazing, and what you will be doing is amazing. Things you can't talk about right now.
Can't talk about just yet, but no. I mean, that's what it's about. It's like, you know, we talk about generational influence, and this is something that can change a generation, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not, you know, I think when people look at us and they look at Chris and Keegan, and it's like, oh, you know, they're in the NBA, generational wealth. Generational wealth is still money. You still can't take it with you. But generational influence is something that can last way after we're gone.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
And if we're able to change a generation with the people that come together to support this app, to showcase this app, to talk to people about this app, like that's how we have lasting change. And that's how you can change a generation, which is exactly what Brightn's trying to do. And so I just want to say thank you guys for coming on and giving us this great update. Might have been the third time, but I figure we're going to have a few more times.
Not the last. We'll be back. The Terminator. We'll be back.
For sure. So, but thank you guys so much for coming on and give us an update. It's always a pleasure to talk about it, and I'm super excited about where the app is going. And for us just to be a little part of that, it means a lot to our family.
Yes.
So
we've learned a lot along the way, and it's all about continuing to learn.
Yep. Absolutely.
Thank you for being on the journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, well, until next time, let's keep connecting.